We're doing it again, yet another Vitality Vibes. All right, and I'm here with Hannah Edmond. She is a naturopathic doctor, and she's also one of our newest practitioners here doing Shiatsu. And I'm already going to go on a rabbit trail. I love the fact that in your training as a doctor, you spent time learning a bodywork modality. Mm-hmm. I cannot tell you, I want you to comment on this, but I have so many people who come to me, and it's almost like the lady who came to me, my first job, working at a high-level spa, and if she could have grabbed my shirt like this, she would have, but she came up to me, she got this close, and she goes, "Please tell me that you're not just gonna barely touch me, like no rub-a-dub, like please massage me." And I was like, no problem, I got this. And so for you to have learned body work, and I have so many clients who literally say, my doctor never touches me. Mm-hmm. And having spent thousands and thousands of hours touching bodies, you feel and understand things. When you're in there moving the body, you feel the inflammation. You start to understand patterns. And so I'd love for you to talk about what it was like for you, first of all, just to study as a naturopathic doctor, but then when you started to get your hands on a body, what happened to your understanding of what's going on with the whole person?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So as a naturopathic doctor, I went through 4 years of medical training, and Naturopathic Medical School is similar to the traditional Western medical school in that we study anatomy, physiology, pathophysiology. We learn how to interpret labs. We learn about pharmaceutical medicine. But we also put a lot of emphasis on other complementary modalities. And I say complementary because a lot of these other modalities are complementary to Western medicine. I don't think, there's always a place for one and the other, and they can be complementary. And so some of those modalities include botanical medicine, nutrition, nutraceuticals, so supplements, body work, and each naturopath will gravitate towards one modality or several modalities that they really enjoy. For me personally, I really gravitated towards botanical medicine. So this includes utilizing teas and tinctures and supplements that have really high potent botanical medicine in there. Mm-hmm. And then I also really gravitated towards body work. And so in our Naturopathic Medical School, we first started with just learning the anatomy of the body by simply putting our hands on other students. And
did you ever see that book, Trail Guide to the Body?
Exactly, that's what we used. Mm-hmm, yep, mm-hmm. That's the book that we used.
That's a genius book. I haven't looked at it in a while, but it's the way it tells you, if this is moving, you're on this muscle.
Yeah. And then, and that was in the first year of school, and then after that we started to learn physical exams, which I do agree, physical exams in the doctor's office, it's not as common anymore. So I had an old school doctor who really put a lot of emphasis on knowing how to do a physical exam and really listening to the body in that way.
That is so beautiful and so needed these days. I had, just as an example, I had one client who came in years and years ago, and he had terrible neck pain. And he had what his doctor had told him was a bone spur right here in one of his vertebrae. And it was literally, it was sticking out right here, and you could really feel it was very tender to the touch. And we were doing the alignment work that I do. And as we worked up the neck, that part, it was his vertebrae, conveniently tucked back where it was supposed to go. And the bone spur was gone. Mm-hmm. And I don't blame the doc for feeling there, but if he's not a chiropractor, and if he hasn't been feeling bodies, he's going to think that irregularity is, that's a huge bump, you must have a bone spur, we're going to have to go in and do surgery. Yeah. But it sounds like you had an instructor who really taught you to feel through the layers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and not only that, but we also had a block or a semester of having a teacher, a chiropractic teacher. And so they also, it wasn't like as involved as chiropractor, like the school that chiropractors go to, but they did teach us a couple of things about how to like read the alignment of the body and just some simple tools to, realign the body if we need to. So
I wish I could go to your school. That'd be so fun.
Yeah.
But we only live so long, right? I'm glad you're doing it for us. So as you dove into the field of Shiatsu, what is it? Did they have a lot of different bodywork modalities that you could have picked from?
Yeah, so you could choose to go further in your studies with more of the, like, we call it high velocity amplitude motions, which is what chiropractors use. And I decided to study more Shiatsu Medicine. So another really cool thing about my school is that we had a Chinese medicine program and also the naturopathic program. So we had access to a lot of really cool teachers, including those that taught Chinese medicine.
Wow. So I was stationed in Japan for a little while, and I got to experience Shiatsu. I would go to the Japanese baths, and these little tiny Okinawan women would like get on top of you and they bend you into a pretzel, and I'd be like, why didn't I learn the words for stop, and that hurts, like I only knew how to say that's cute and where's the bathroom, it only gets you so far. But I was so amazed at what would happen to me literally for weeks afterwards. The energy work is so powerful, and I think that we have you on our menu here. And I wonder if people are jumping on the website or they're seeing your ad on Facebook or whatever, and they're going, how do I even say that? Shiatsu, or Shiatsu. That sounds like a bad word. I don't know, what are they going to do to me, So, and I'm not saying that there's a lot of people here who know what it is, but if you don't know what it is, a lot of times we feel kind of like, I should know. I'm not sure I want to ask. So that's the main purpose of us gathering right here together, is to really understand what is Shiatsu. I've experienced your work, and I've had some Shiatsu over the years, not a lot. Every time I've had it, it has been profound, because you're not just meeting the physical level. This is my experience, and I think you're going to obviously have more to say about it because you do it. You're not just meeting my physical level and vibrating the body and getting in touch with the energy meridians, which I do Thai yoga massage. It's on my menu, but no one ever signs up for it. But it's that's working the Thai system of energy meridians. And when I receive that work, I usually can't speak. Like, I just have to go to, after your Shiatsu session, same thing. My central nervous system was so down at a baseline, like a good baseline, like now I can really rest, now I can really feel, now I can even understand my own thoughts. And so I went to another place when I was in your session, but I remember that you had a methodical way of working up the body, and I could tell that your hands were also understanding things and figuring out where to go based on what you sensed there. So I definitely want you to talk more about that, but I'm going to tell you my one fun fact about Shiatsu. Someone who studied Shiatsu told me this. It could be a World War II urban legend, so y'all can look it up later and see if it's actually true. But this guy told me that after World War II, America's coming in, basically establishing their presence and their control over Japanese culture. And one of the things that General MacArthur did is that he looked at Shiatsu, which was practiced primarily by blind people, and he looked at it as a sexual thing, And I can tell you, it is everything but that. It is a wonderful connection to the body, but it's not that. Obviously, General MacArthur didn't know what he was talking about. But Helen Keller heard about this here in the United States, and she went to the U.S. Congress and testified on behalf of the blind of Japan, and Congress undid what General MacArthur had totally messed up, and allowed them to continue to practice the thing that they were so good at. And Yeah, as a body worker, there's times I haven't really wished to be blind, honestly, but there's times that I will just close my eyes because I want to not have my eyes in the work.
Yeah.
And especially after receiving shiatsu and realizing that these people were blind, and what that meant to the superpower of their sensation of the body.
That's the first time that I'm hearing that story.
Yeah, well, you're gonna have to check it out, see if it's true.
Yeah, I'll have to see if that's, yeah.
But it's a cool story. If
Yeah.
it is true, it's kind of like Helen Keller saved shiatsu.
Yeah. I'll definitely have to look that up and see.
Yeah. So I kind of wanted to get inside of your head. What is shiatsu? I mean, what does the Japanese even mean?
Yeah, so shiatsu is a Japanese form of massage, and shi means finger, atsu means pressure, so literally translated it means finger pressure. And so I do use a lot of thumb work, and initially and throughout the whole entire massage there is a lot of body rocking. And I think that the body rocking really helps to calm down the nervous system. Intuitively with a baby, we just want to rock them if they're ever in distress. Same if you look at animals out in the wild. After they encounter some stress, they'll like shake.
You're making me body rock now.
Yeah,
I just want to feel good. It's like a gospel choir, or it's EMDR.
Yeah.
It's a simple form of EMDR, just recentering your brain.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's honestly like the biggest impact that I have seen with shiatsu massage, is helping to rebalance the nervous system. And as a naturopathic doctor, that's something that that's the initial thing that I really try to do when I am treating somebody, is how can we bring the nervous system back to center, back to balance? Because it's just the nervous system has such a big impact on our well-being and immunity and gut health. So that's one part of shiatsu is the rocking. And then I'll also do thumb work along the meridians. And
let's talk about what meridians are, because if I didn't do what I do, I would have no clue what the meridians are. I would literally be sitting here thinking, does she mean like the center line of my body? What or things crisscross? What is this? I mean, it definitely has something to do with lines. Tell us more.
Yeah, so in Eastern medicine, specifically Japanese and Chinese medicine, they have found, or they believe, a lot of their medicine is based off of meridian lines, which is essentially channels, or you can think of it as highways for energy, or chi. Chi means energy to flow. And so, if we have tight muscles, or if you have just like this chronic knot in one of your muscles, that could be an indication that there's a blockage of that chi or that energy.
Well, it reminds me of getting acupuncture. And I guess here in the West, where we are more aware of acupuncture, or acupressure, and like my acupuncturist used to come to my workout class all the time, and so we'd be doing something like rubbing along the shin bone as a part of our self-massage in the class, and I'd be like, what part is this? And she'd be like, oh, that's good for the liver. Or I think it's on this side, correct me if I'm wrong, is this the spine? Or is it on this side?
I don't know.
Okay, so I think in the Chinese, this is the spine. So sometimes it's great because she'll tell me these things and I'll be like, oh, I can work on this person. Or check this out. Ooh, my foot is so dirty. Okay, right here, this is the spine line on the foot. And even though I studied Thai yoga massage, I did not learn the meridians. I just did a 40-hour course. There's another one that I wanted to share. Oh, yeah. Oh my goodness, I want to hear if you have any stories about this. I'm sure you have had some people who've had emotional release. So, I go into my acupuncturist and they'll be like, oh, my left side of my neck is really bothering me and it's going down into here and back into my scapula. And she's like, yep, I think you have a broken heart. And then she treats for that. So what you've had people have emotional releases.
Yeah, so the beautiful thing about Chinese medicine is that each organ, they believe, kind of harnesses an emotion. And so, for example, like the lungs hold grief. And so there's certain lung points right here that you can massage. And if you're watching, you can even do this right now, just below your collarbone. There's a couple lung points right there. And that's really the beautiful thing about Shiatsu massage, is that if I know maybe someone has a lot of rage or anger, I know that we can work on some of the liver meridians or the liver points to help release some of that rage and that anger. Or if there's some grief that someone's experiencing, we can work on those lung points too.
That is amazing. Okay, so here you are, you're a doctor, and you're choosing to practice what some people might think is a lower level of medicine. But I think this is super high level medicine. And another thing that I think that everyone's figuring out is, I'm totally into fascia, frequency, light healing, but when it gets down to it, there's something that's at the bottom of almost every issue. And if you're having an issue, this part of your body is involved. And so you're going to be offering the community a 2-part workshop on gut health. And I am really excited about this. I'm kind of into the Bible, and one of the things that I've heard is that when they translate the word heart, it's mistranslated. It's supposed to be gut. And if you look at it that way, almost everything comes from the gut.
Yeah.
And so don't give away the workshop, but tell us a little bit of what you're going to be sharing. Maybe give us a few tips. We're all looking for what's something quick that I can do to or have in mind about. Like one thing I used to do intermittent fasting. And now I'm thinking about going back into that. Tell me what you think about intermittent fasting, and tell us more about gut health.
Yeah. I think that intermittent fasting is safer for males. For females, especially in their reproductive age, it can cause a lot of stress on the body and disrupt the hormone balance. So if you are going to intermittent fast, I wouldn't recommend doing it over 12 hours.
And what about the idea that you can fast? A woman can do it according to her cycle. Have you heard that? What's your thoughts on that?
I have heard that. So some people will say that you can intermittent fast during your follicular phase, which is going to be day 1 of your cycle to when you ovulate, which is around day 14 roughly. And then during your luteal phase, some people will say that you should not intermittent fast, go a little bit slower.
Feast.
Yeah. Eat
good care
your
of yourself.
iron and
Your chocolate.
I have heard that. However, and there's different perspectives out there. I don't think that there's a lot of good evidence, or even not even evidence, but a lot of research to support that. And it could be just that that's it. There's not enough research out there to really have a clear answer. And so for me, I personally always err on the side of don't intermittent fast beyond 12 hours if you're a female in your reproductive age.
That's actually, what about me?
Well,
my doctor was like, you are post-menopausal.
And I would, even if you are in your post-menopausal phase, I would stress just really focusing on getting the nutrients and the protein that you need, because once we reach that even premenopausal or postmenopausal phase, our muscle mass starts to decline, and that's really important for our bone health. So that's what I always stress for females in their premenopausal, postmenopausal phase, is just make sure you're getting enough protein.
Yeah, I love that. I'm working on that. I'm not even sure I'm quite there yet, but I lost muscle mass, and I am trying to get it back. It's affecting everything. So.
Yeah. It's hard. The recommended daily intake of protein is at least 80 grams per day. And that is hard. It's a job to do that.
Yeah, my digestion, I'm increasing, but my digestion is like, what are you doing? So tell us more about digestion. How can we improve our digestion? And as a doctor, you're coming at this, you've got a big picture. What is the big picture that you're going to be sharing with us, and maybe just a couple of tips?
Yeah, definitely. So
I'm sure I'll interrupt you to ask more questions.
You might hear a lot of doctors, especially naturopaths, saying that everything starts in the gut, which I agree with that. However, I would argue that everything starts with the central nervous system because I think the central nervous system has a huge influence on the gut, which then influences a lot of our different other systems.
But if the gut is toxic down the road, then it's going to also, adversely affect the central nervous system, right?
Yeah.
But hopefully you don't get there.
It's kind of like what comes first, the chicken or the egg.
Right. But the central nervous system, I think, comes first.
Yeah. So just some easy tips that you can do before you sit down for a meal is doing some diaphragmatic breathing. And we can practice that right now if we want to.
Let's do it.
So there's this nerve called the vagus nerve, and it runs through your diaphragm. It also runs through your digestive tract.
And if you go to Vegas, your vagus nerve is going to be overstimulated, I promise.
Yes. So stimulating the vagus nerve is really help to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system is that rest and digest part of our nervous system. So we can help to stimulate that by doing some diaphragmatic breathing. If you put your hand on your belly and with every inhale, really try to press your hand outwards. And then as you exhale, draw your navel into your spine. And do that a couple times. You could do it for 10 seconds. You could do it for a minute. Anytime doing this is really beneficial. A lot of us these days are chest breathers. And so helping to retrain the way that we breathe.
Well, that's one of the spiels that I will tell people if I notice that it's really exacerbated, that they are breathing in their chest, is that they have found that there are nervous system receptors at the top of the lungs that will, because when you go into fight or flight, you're not breathing as much. You have to use your oxygen in a different way. So you're usually taking a breath just right here, and it literally turns on that response in your amygdala of fight or flight. And so when you're breathing here, it's so good to learn diaphragmatic breathing, because otherwise you're kind of always a little nervous. And it's fun teaching people this, because then the next time they breathe like this, they start to get nervous. Like, I feel so nervous right now. Maybe I should leave for a little bit and just let you keep talking. What do you think? Okay. But yeah, that's great. Have you heard of near sleep deep rest? It's yoga nidra.
Oh, okay.
Sure, you've heard of that. But they're actually using it in hospitals now. Underneath, I guess yoga nidra was too woo-woo for them, but they named it near sleep deep rest. So you can go on YouTube, you can get 5, 10, 20-minute yoga nidra routines where you're just breathing and getting in touch with different parts of your body. And they've done the research, and they're using it with interns in hospitals, because maybe they're not going to sleep for 24 hours. But they have them go take a break and do the yoga nidra or the near sleep deep rest. And they have realized that the 20 minutes has the same effect as 2 hours of deep REM sleep.
Wow, that's incredible.
So this breathing is just one beautiful way to really calm the central nervous system. What other tips do you have?
Yeah, to calm the nervous system, don't do anything else except for eat when you're eating. So don't stare at a screen. I know it's really hard. All of us do that. Try to avoid watching movies. Try to avoid being in a stressful state. So for example, maybe you're having an intense conversation with somebody. That is going to definitely affect your digestion. I don't know if anybody else has noticed that, but if I'm nervous and I eat, I will just get an automatic stomach ache. So really, really trying to set up the space for you to be in a calm state when you're eating. And then also, go ahead.
Well, it reminds me of Chris Bailey. Have you met her yet? She's a local ground-to-table chef, amazing. And she teaches a lot of great classes about digestion, integrating your nutrition. She's macrobiotic-ish, has come up with a lot of her own things that she teaches she's in her 70s. And she's been into this for a long time. But I think she says, how often would you say that you should chew?
Oh.
Because that's one thing. She's like, you should chew for a good minute.
Yeah. Your food should be liquid before you swallow it.
Okay, I'm setting a new goal. So liquid potato chips.
Yeah.
Ooh, that sounds disgusting. I bet you it would make certain foods not seem palatable to you if you can't just wolf them down.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got to come. I'm coming to this workshop, but yeah, it's there's things that you know. There's always more that you can learn, but there's a lot of things that we just take for granted. I mean, we learn how to eat the way that we learn how to walk. We watched our parents and our siblings.
Yeah.
And depending on what the family table was like, mine was stressful all the time. I had a stomach ache my whole childhood. I just thought that everybody always had a stomach ache. I didn't know it was any different.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that way.
Yeah. A lot of people do think that it's normal to have, a stomach ache after eating or live with constipation or diarrhea, and that's not normal.
Yeah. So you're going to be giving us a path to something that could be the normal that we were designed to have.
Yeah. So we're going to spend a lot of the time talking about how can we stimulate that parasympathetic nervous system. And there's some really cool ways to do this, even with herbs, because interestingly, I don't want to give away too much, but the bitter receptors on our tongue stimulate the vagus nerve. So there's certain foods and there's certain herbs that we can take to help get us into that state. And then the second part of the series, we're going to start to talk about how can we heal the lining of the digestive tract, because a lot of us do have little micro traumas to the digestive tract, which can in turn cause some food intolerances. So if you find that you have a lot of food intolerances, or you just don't feel good after you eat peppers, this could be an indication that we need to start repairing the lining of the digestive tract.
And do you ever talk about slippery elm bark?
I do, however...
There's probably way better things, but...
Yeah, slippery elm bark is one of those herbs that's endangered, so there are some great alternatives to it.
It's endangered?
It is, unfortunately. Yeah. So that's another thing, working with botanical medicine, and something that I really put a lot of emphasis on is making sure that we're harvesting and buying our herbs from ethical sources, and that a lot of these herbs are not endangered.
So there's so much that you're bringing to the table. We're so glad that you're here. I know that you are in a phase of your life where you're also going to be traveling the world and just experiencing different things. But every time you're in the North Fork Valley, we plan on learning from you and receiving your great body work. If you are hearing this at any time and Hannah is here in the North Fork Valley, if you're calling for your first session, we're going to give you 10% off. I want you to know that we are so blessed to have, Hannah just approached me and said, I want to be a part of what you guys are doing while I'm here. And we are so proud of your education, of what you're bringing to the world, and so excited that we get to help share it. So thank you so much. Is there anything else you want to share before we go? Do you have a website for your for your medicine practice?
Yeah, my website is alchemynaturalmed.com.
And so people can work with you no matter where you are in the world.
Yeah, so I spend part of my time here in Hotchkiss, and then half of the year I travel in my van, but as I'm traveling, I'm also able to provide telemedicine, so virtual visits.
So if you've connected with Hannah here virtually and she's really kind of speaking your language, you can reach out to her. And please reach out to us. You can jump on the website at wellspringvitality.com or give us a call, 970-872-9355, which stands for well. Hardly anybody knows that, so I just wanted to tell you how cool that is. So we love you guys. We love Vitality. And thanks for joining us for yet another episode of Vitality Vibes.